everybody, and welcome back to more political chatter. In this video, we will be talking about a Larry Elder versus Joe Biden 2024 election matchup. So, if you didn't know, a couple of days ago, Larry Elder, who was a conservative talk show host and really rose to fame in 2021 when he ran and was soundly defeated in the California governor recall election. Gavin Newsom easily rode to victory. That is really where he gained his fame across the country. But he announced a couple days ago that he is running for president. This really didn't come at a surprise. I mean, maybe a year ago this time this would have been a surprise, but he was really making hints at it. He had already made the logos Elder for America, posted on social media, whatever. But Larry Elder is now officially in the race. And this election matchup is between him and President Joe Biden. Obviously, I do not believe that Larry Elder will win the Republican nomination. I would give that a 1 in 2,000 chance of happening, which is basically nothing. I don't see him even making it to the Iowa caucus, if I'm being completely honest, and he definitely wouldn't make it to New Hampshire. So let's get into this election prediction. So we will start off with safe states that will be decided by 15% margins or more. We'll start with Biden. California, yes, even Larry Elder's home state. Hawaii, Oregon, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New York, Maine's 1st District, Illinois, Colorado, I think, becomes a safe state. It was not in the presidential election in 2020. And New Hampshire is almost there, okay? I'll just say it now. Larry Elder is, like, probably the weakest the Republicans can get. He is just a horrible candidate if we're looking at the general election. He would turn out those staunch Republicans, and who else? No one else. Independents wouldn't be in favor of this guy. White working class voters that won Trump the election in 2016 aren't turning out for this guy. He has no appeal whatsoever anywhere. And I will actually make one more safe state. I believe that New Mexico becomes a safe state for the first time in who knows how long. It was, I believe, only decided by 8 in 2020. I think Larry Elder does that much worse. Now let's get into safe states for Larry Elder. Wyoming, Utah, Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska at large. Nebraska is 3rd. Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Alabama. Mississippi is probably safe. And that will be it for Larry Elder. So, amazingly, Joe Biden is put at 196. Larry Elder is put at just 81. Joe Biden has kind of a lot more than double the amount of electoral votes that Larry Elder has, and it's only safe states. Again, this is just my prediction, of course. Now we'll get into likely states. So these states will be decided by a 5 to 15% margin, so a bit closer, but we kind of know how they're going to go. Likely states, Minnesota will definitely be one, pretty close to being safe. That was decided by like 7 in the presidential. New Hampshire, as I mentioned before. Oh, Maine at large is safe. Sorry, that shifts a few points, but that's safe. But yeah, New Hampshire is a big win for Biden. Virginia is basically going to be safe. That's going to be like a 15% margin, but we won't put it safe, right now just to be safe. But yeah, I did not mean to do that. No pun intended. But right now that's going to be a likely state, and I mean. And then we'll just get the easy ones out of the way first, I guess. But Nebraska 2nd District, definitely. I mean, Larry Elder is just such a horrible candidate. He would kind of get crushed everywhere. If we're looking at Arizona and Nevada, I think that Arizona is a likely margin win for Biden. I mean, I know Larry Elder, I guess, is more of a traditional Republican, but it doesn't even matter. He wouldn't even, turn out traditional Republicans like some would be able to do, like DeSantis or Nikki Haley or someone. Nevada is a likely margin for Biden, saying that he won it by 2.4% in 2020. Larry Elder will heavily underperform Donald Trump. And then Georgia does become a likely Republican state, and people like Brian Kemp, traditional conservatives, won big here in 2022. Brian Kemp, Brad Raffensperger, but Larry Elder is so far away from like turning out white, white rural men. Being completely honest, I mean, he is just so far from that. He will be seen as more of like a coastal Western, coastal elitist. Won't appeal to any rural parts of the country. But yeah, I think that Georgia is a likely state for Biden. So and then we have the blue wall. I definitely think Michigan is a likely state for Biden, and that puts him over the top. But yeah, I think that Michigan will go to Joe Biden. I mean, these white working class voters that Trump won in 2016, Biden took them back in 2020. Wherever they go, that candidate wins the election. But in Michigan, or in these three states, there are a whole lot of them. And Larry Elder, I don't think will turn them out at all. Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. I think that all three are likely states for Biden. So, as you can see, I believe that he will win big. That's going to be it for Biden. Now let's get into likely Larry Elder states. So Missouri, I think, is one. I think that Indiana is one. Two very Republican states, but I don't. They are not going to be very good margins for Larry Elder. Nebraska's first is probably a likely state for Larry Elder. Montana probably hangs on in that likely column, around 8% probably for Larry Elder. I mean, again, these are rural areas, guys. Larry Elder will just get crushed in these areas. South Carolina, I'll give him South Carolina by a likely margin. Maybe he hangs on by like 5% to make it likely. And that's going to be it, actually, for likely states for Larry Elder, which is quite strange. So that puts Biden at 303 electoral votes, Larry Elder at 116. Let's get into our lean states. These states will be decided by 1 to 5%, so pretty close states. The first one will be Maine's 2nd District, which is a major pickup for Joe Biden. I mean, it's not major, it's only one electoral vote, but saying that Trump won it by 8. I think that Biden wins it by 2 or 3. That is major. Trump has some sort of special appeal in Maine's 2nd. They like outsiders, who go against the establishment. Larry Elder might be an outsider, but definitely doesn't go against the establishment. Joe Biden takes that one back. Very low turnout there, I believe, which will result in a Biden victory. Ohio, I think that Joe Biden takes back from the Republicans. Sure, Trump made it a whole lot more Republican, but at the end of the day, Larry Elder won't win the voters that Trump won that made it so Republican, these white working class voters, as I said previously. Ohio, definitely a lean state for Joe Biden. North Carolina, definitely a lean state for Joe Biden, if not likely. I mean, same reasons as Georgia. We have been over this now. And then let's see, where do we go now? I think that Biden does take back Florida if we're being realistic. I know a lot of people love to say Florida won't go to Biden under any circumstances, like any candidate, because the voters are so partisan. At the end of the day, that's not true. There still are independents in Florida that Republicans have been able to win in recent elections who will simply not turn out for Larry Elder. So I think that Joe Biden does win the state of Florida. Iowa, we'll get to Iowa. That's going to be a tilt state. Okay, that's going to be it. So now we have tilt states. Oh, yeah, tilt states. I think that the rest will be tilt, these 4 states. So these states will be decided by less than 1%, so basically, very close. Larry Elder, I think that he narrowly hangs on in Texas, if we're being honest. I mean, come on. Texas, he does have some sort of appeal here, I guess, with being an African American. I think that the heavily shifting number of Latinos voting for the Republicans will increase. Well, not increase, at least stay the same with Larry Elder, and that will carry him to victory. I think that he will just be able to hang on in Texas. There are a lot of partisan voters in Texas. We do have to remember that. Iowa he probably hangs on. I mean, it's just a very Republican state at this point. Looking at their statewide elections, even bad candidates still win. So Larry Elder might just hang on in Iowa. I think he hangs on in Kansas. That's going to be such a close one. I think closer than anyone would have expected. And I know, looking at my other predictions around this area, that Kansas won't quite be tilt. If we're saying Texas, which went to Trump by 5.6% in 2020, is tilt. You wouldn't think that Kansas, which went to Trump by 15% in 2020, would also be tilt. But Kansas is different. Voters are very nonpartisan or bipartisan there. I think that Joe Biden would be very strong here compared to Larry Elder. And finally, we do have the state of Alaska, which I think that Joe Biden would flip, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It does shift 10 points to the right. Larry Elder has absolutely zero appeal there whatsoever. So here's my map. I think that Joe Biden wins with 370 electoral votes, 100 more than he needs. Larry Elder has 168, an absolute blowout. Joe Biden could very well win Texas. Makes it a landslide, essentially. So thank you all for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That would help a lot. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.